Hello, friends. Jim Hale here. We want to bring you up to date today on our dear friend, Joan Andrews Bell. Joan, as you know, is one of 9 federal prisoners being held at the Alexandria, Virginia City Jail. It has been 3 months since she was convicted for violating the FACE Act. She and all the pro-life rescuers are facing a possible 11-year prison sentence, an absolutely excruciating situation for her family. And we want to welcome Joan's husband right now, Chris Bell, to tell us how Joan is doing. And we also want to talk about kind of a rather old controversy that has cropped up once again within the pro-life movement. But first of all, Chris Bell, tell us how Joan is doing.
Thank you so much, Jim. Joan's spirits are very strong and very positive and very good. She has lots of time to pray and also to read. And not only is she praying and doing a Bible study with her co-defendants, but also with other inmates whom they're meeting. And she has opportunities to get to know and to support and in her own way to help some of the other inmates that are there, some of the women who, are in really poor and very desperate situations. But as we know, this is a real specific time to pray, to end abortion, and to do reparation for our own sins and especially for the sin of abortion.
Chris, how often do you get to talk to her?
Almost every day. She can call frequently. There are times when they're on lockdown, which could be for many reasons, something else going on in the prison. But if not, she calls, and we have anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, and her spirits have not wavered. We've even had a couple of video conferences, which you can set up in advance. And again, if all things are well, and on the prison side, they go through, and it's certainly beautiful and wonderful to see your face. And we're very grateful for those small opportunities.
And I know Joan has spent many months, many years in jail for her pro-life work, Chris. But you were telling me earlier that as far as jails go, at least the Alexandria, Virginia City Jail is not that bad of a place.
She actually has called it the best prison she's ever been in. I think the attitude of prisons in general in the nation have improved. I can't speak for all of them, neither can she, but certainly at this time in this place, they're acting civilly and humanely in the cases that she directly is involved with.
And now, Chris, where do things stand with her appeals and just the legal process? What can you?
Let me start off by saying, Jim, we have absolutely no hope in any appeals, the justice system, or even the good lawyers that are working on our behalf. We have no hope that we will see any justice in this process, but we have every hope and every bit of faith and trust that God will bring good out of this and out of everything. We don't know when. It may not be in our lifetime. We don't know how. We may not see it, but we believe that God will bring good out of all of this. And that's a great consolation, and I say a grace, because the system that's supporting, protecting, defending the killing of innocent children is horrendous, and it's very strong right now in this nation. It continues to be very strong even after Roe v. Wade had been overthrown.
Well, that's an understatement. I mean, we saw that play out in these trials. I mean, it was, gosh, Chris, I got to tell you, I mean, I attended all of those trials, and it was hard to believe we were in the United States of America when you saw just the whole, the way the prosecution was prosecuting the case, the demeanor of the judge, even everything down to the way the marshals were treating all of us who were there.
Well, Jim, I think you could sum it up this way. The phrase that was repeated in terms of what the prosecution was defending as a federal law, reproductive rights. we are not talking about reproducing anything. We're talking in this specific case about a late-term abortionist. That is all he does. Third trimester. It's not even it's murder. It's third trimester murders of fully formed human babies for little or no reason. Never are those women who might be told there's a fetal abnormality, are they checked? Are they given second, third, fourth opinions? Are the babies looked at and seeing what can be done in this nation with the greatest medical technology in human history? So reproductive rights, when they're not reproducing anything and accusing people of stopping the killing of innocent third trimester children, it's horrendous. So this is the nation that we still live in, the battle that we're really fighting against, to say these are children, no matter how small they are, and whether in the third or the second or the first trimester, we're talking about human life, and that's what we're looking to protect and to defend. And for doing that, we're accused of violence because we pray in the office, or accused of stopping somebody from getting health care. There's nothing healthy about it. So Lord help us, Lord help us. But we go on. And for those who've been involved in an abortion, I always have to say this right away. For those who may be hearing something like this for the first time, if you've been involved or you know somebody who's had one, or maybe a guy who's paid for one, there is healing and there is hope. That certainly no one in the pro-life movement accuses you. I'm not pointing a finger. You know, I'm no greater person at all. I'm just a greater sinner as anybody. It may be worse, but the reality is God can forgive you. Even if you don't believe in God, know that you can find peace. Just admit where you are and seek counseling. At the homes I run for mothers and children, Good Counsel, we've developed a post-abortion healing program called Lumina. And you could find it at goodcounselhomes.org. And that's counsel, COUNSEL, homes with an S at the end of it, .org. And look for the post-abortion healing that you can find. And you can get a secular counselor. You can go to another man or woman, depending on your own preference, to somebody who's been there, who knows what it's like to have an abortion, and to find the peace that maybe now you are suffering silently for. And for those abortionists and those who've assisted in abortion, you too can stop that now and find reconciliation with your own soul and with humanity. One of the father of abortion, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, became a good friend. And I know we don't have time to go into his whole story now. Maybe we should talk about it soon, though. But he started the ambulatory clinics that never existed before, just to do abortions. And he personally said he killed 10,000 children, but he oversaw the mass murder of 60,000 in his first ambulatory abortion mill in New York City back in before Roe v. Wade began. So he found healing and he found hope after doing that, when he recognized the wrong that he had been doing, because he was pulling off those little arms and legs. He really knew it at the time, but something finally clicked. And he said it was the sonogram. This was back, in the early 70s, they just developed the sonogram. And his seeing that baby in the womb changed his mind, and then later changed his heart.
Well, he's the one who brought me really into pro-life activism, Chris. It was that movie, Silent Scream. I mean, when I saw that movie, you can still go onto YouTube and watch it. I mean, if that doesn't change your heart or turn you into a pro-lifer, nothing will. So, Chris, let's talk about this issue that comes up from time to time within the pro-life world. It is a debate within the pro-life world about whether a woman who has had an abortion or is trying to have an abortion, whether that in itself should be considered a criminal offense.
Oh, well, I first have to say the pro-abortion side often throws that up, that we're going to jail women
Right.
who have an ectopic pregnancy or absolutely do get an abortion. There's no pro-life organization that I have ever known in my 40 years involved in pro-life ministries, but certainly today, there's not one pro-life group that has ever called for, asked for, or wants to see women prosecuted, much less put in jail. And in the history of this nation, going back 100, 200 years ago, really, there has never been a law that prosecuted women. They've always gone after the abortionists. But let's talk about right now. After 50 years of abortion on demand in this nation, which unfortunately still exists in some states like mine, New York or New Jersey, where I have another maternity home, you can get an abortion to the moment of birth. And after 50 years of abortion propaganda, selling abortion as easy as, now taking an aspirin, taking the pill, which is not true. 50 years of saying it's actually your right to do that. Everybody's so propagandized. How can we say a woman is even culpable in trying to seek an abortion? We wouldn't do that. But we hadn't done it before when the laws were totally against it. We're certainly not going to do that now. What we have to do is offer healing and hope. And again, as those who've had an abortion, we want to see them come to their own peace of mind and heart. We don't want to see people suffering and writhing and put in prison. And who should go to prison? The abortionist. Those who propagate and those who protect abortion. Those are the ones who know what they're doing. The abortionist knows when he's pulling off arms and legs and a head. I mean, what do you think happens in an abortion? Even at 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks, he's got those little body parts. The baby's fully formed. So, the abortionist should be the one prosecuted. Those who are protecting it and promoting it, they are committing crimes against humanity, and they know it. Mm-hmm. And if they don't know it, boy, then they are in such a dark space. Then maybe jail will give them the opportunity to reflect on the evil that they have done. And that's what we want. I don't want to see them hurt, but I do want to see them converted. And if they're not going to convert through some change of their behavior, then maybe jail is the only place for them to get them to stop it. Because they're killing innocent human beings. And worse, Jim, and you know this, but not everybody does. An abortionist is also protecting human trafficking. How is he doing that? Because the victims of human trafficking are being dragged in and being forced to have an abortion. Does he even ask questions or look to try to, find out really why the woman is in this situation? Maybe he's seen the same woman 2, 3, 4 times. He can't in his own mind say, oh, she's just fooling around. And what about minors? What about sexual abuse? Not one time has Planned Parenthood or any abortionist ever filed a report. And they're seeing minors. They're seeing kids of all ages. Are they looking into, are these kids just having fun, or are they being abused? Do they ask? Do they even inquire? They have no conscience at all. The only thing they look for is to get paid to kill a child in the womb, and they look the other way. And too, we have videos of Planned Parenthood workers telling other adults how to get away with, having these abortions for human trafficking victims, for minors, for even people from out of state. They tell you how to subvert the law every way they can, because they only care about selling that abortion.
Yep. So, Chris, I understand that perspective for sure, but I want to read you this quote. We just ran a commentary that Jonathan Darnell sent us. Who is one of the Joans, fellow inmates right there in Alexandria. One of our dear brothers. But Jonathan has some pretty strong feelings about this, and this is what he just said in this article that we ran here on LifeSite yesterday. Jonathan says, the personhood and abolitionist wing of our movement has a different strategy. They believe that the heart of the matter is that no state currently prosecutes mothers for killing their unborn children. Indeed, each and every state abortion ban specifically grants them legal immunity, essentially a license to kill. Change this, and most women won't dare do the deed. So Jonathan doesn't just come right out and say prosecute him, but he's kind of putting it out there that this might be, you know, a path to taking a drastic step here. What is your response to what he just said?
Well, I have to say that I talked to Joan, and she strongly reiterates what we know to be true in the pro-life movement, and that is women should not be looked at as committing a criminal act, but they should be helped. Because a woman who even thinks about abortion, now I've been running maternity homes for almost 40 years, and women are in desperate situations. And in this nation today, nearly every single woman who walks into our maternity home has been told by somebody, don't have the baby. You can get rid of it. You know, right. You're too young. You're in school. You just dropped out of school. You're going to lose your job. There's a lot of pressure. Even now, even if abortion were outlawed in every single state in the nation, we would still see women who think about it in a desperate situation. And what we have to offer is compassionate assistance and care and love. And love means taking somebody where they're at. When we know of a drug addict, we're not locking them all up now. We lock up those who sell the drugs. The drug addict needs rehabilitation, needs help. The woman who's in a desperate pregnancy situation needs assistance. The men who put her there are usually rejecting her or forcing her. And today they're still forcing their girlfriends or sometimes even their wives not to have that child. We need to rescue that mother from her desperate situation, assist her, and get her into a secure and safe and supportive environment, whether it's a maternity home or in another safe place that she can love her, be loved, and love her baby. And that's what we need to do.
Well, thank you for saying that, Chris. And, you know, I want to make it clear that this, we're not attacking Jonathan here. I just wanted you to respond to that. Jonathan, you know, I love Jonathan. We all love Jonathan. Jonathan speaks his mind, and he's not afraid of saying controversial things. I think we all know that about Jonathan. So, you know, I appreciate you, you know, saying what you said as well.
You know, we all get emotional, and when somebody is, you know, risking their own lives to help someone else, they can get especially passionate. But I think in all our hearts, we know what the loving thing to do is, and it's sacrifice. Love is really sacrifice. People, you know, forget, you know, a commitment, whether in marriage, or to religious life, or a commitment to a mission, is about sacrificing one's own desires to help the other. And that's how love grows. You know, again, to reiterate, that in this nation, we've never had in our common law the idea that we should prosecute women. You know, Robbie George, a professor at Princeton University, wrote an article with John Finnis. Actually, it was a amicus brief to the Dobbs decision. And he said, and I'll quote him, while prevailing, though not universal, 19th century common law made only post-quickening abortion indictable, the common law always regarded pre-quickening abortion as an action without lawful purpose, as Chief Justice Shaw put it in 1849. So even going that far back, they weren't going to indict women at all. And such abortions accidentally causing counseling mothers' deaths, that constituted murder. So if the abortionist, who was usually a doctor, by the way, before Roe v. Wade, the abortionists weren't back alley guys. They were medical men who were doing this on the side for whatever nefarious reasons. And they just came out of the closet, out of the back alleys when Roe v. Wade was decided. But, you know, if the woman died, the abortionist committed an absolute murder. And even if he just did the abortion, he still was prosecuted for doing an abortion, not the woman. And I don't foresee that ever happening in this country.
So, Chris, you gave us the update on Joan. Tell us how your family is doing, Chris, because, I only learned recently, I didn't even know this, but that just a little over a year ago, your house burned down in New York.
Yeah, well, as I've said to many people, that's the least of my problems right now. So the family is, they're heartbroken. We've got 5 young women. They're, in their 20s or 30s, and 2 young men, same age range. And particularly for the girls, it's hard. We have 6 soon to be 7 born grandchildren. The young mothers in our family, one of the babies started to pull herself up, and this mom of my daughter said, "Oh, look, she's pulling herself up. It's the first time she did that." And then her second sentence was, "And mom's not here to see it."
Oh,
So they get to talk to her as well, but obviously it's not the same. They miss her holding their children. We miss her, around the house. But as I remind them, it's a time for us to pray more, and this is our penance. This is our reparation as part of the sin of abortion. When innocent people are taken away for trying to save innocent life, the nation is on the wrong track. And it's not that we focus on, trying to free our dear beloved Joan, or free the others. It's a matter of saying, why are they there? They're there because we have really an immoral law that's being protected. What can we do to stop that? And that's what Joan keeps saying. One of the last things she said to me as they were taking her into custody was, just tell people to pray and do what God tells them to do.
mm.
And at the moment, I thought that was a very too simple a statement. Didn't she want him to tell him to go out and maybe pray in front of the abortion mill more or do something? But no, that really is the statement. Pray and do what God tells you to do. And God, who leads us all, and if we don't believe, well, then maybe it's a time to begin to just have some quiet time to think about the state of yourself, the state of the nation, the state of the world, and where is it going, and where do you think it's heading? And without God, it's certainly not going to go in a positive direction. And if you get very depressed and very down, remember that God does still have everything in control. The world has seen great empires, tremendous empires come and go. And the church, the Catholic Church, has withstood tremendous persecution throughout the centuries. Certainly the 20th century was horrendous, and it's not looking so good in the 21st century. But the reality is the church is not going to go away because its belief in the truth. And what's the truth? The truth is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came to the world, rose again to forgive our sins, and he loves us, and he loves you. And from the very beginning of that knowledge, that encounter with Jesus Christ, from the very beginning, his followers have been persecuted, have been martyred, but the faith continues because it's a faith of love and of joy. Jesus told us God is love. And again, that love is sacrifice. And it's a sacrifice not to beat us up or to hurt us, but to show that in this fallen world, where obviously there are selfish motives and times that even the believers of Jesus fall down, me greatly among them, fall and hurt others and do bad things. Still, God is asking us to pick ourselves up and to try to do better and to try to love more and to try to be kinder. I like the bumper sticker, do random acts of kindness. What it's missing is the whole context. It's true, we should do random acts of kindness, but the reason is because we love one another. We're made in the image and likeness of God from the first moment of conception. And sometimes that love requires correcting us when we're doing something that's actually harmful harmful to ourselves and harmful to our brother or sister. And Joan always said this so beautifully. She said, you know, that little baby in the womb is our brother and sister.
Yeah.
We have to love our brother and sister in the womb like we love our brothers and sisters who were born. And until we start to love those brothers and sisters in the womb like we love those who are born, then we're not going to have true peace in the nation.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. I can hear her voice. I remember interviewing her in New York and her saying that she never talks about just babies in the womb, or she talks about our little brothers and sisters, and that always has struck me. That's what we're talking about here. So thank you, bro. Chris, I got to admit, I've really been struggling with the state of the church and the world so much lately. I've been really, honestly, in a state of spiritual depression, and I needed to hear this from you today. I really did. So, and I think there's probably a lot of our viewers who needed to hear it as well. So thanks for coming on, Chris. Thank you for your witness.
Well,
I'm
Jim,
just,
let me tell you
yeah,
some more of the good news before you wrap up, and
yeah,
that is it could get a lot worse. It could get a
yeah.
lot worse, but don't worry because God has seen worse in history, and he's ready for even worse than worse. And but God will bring good out of it. Yeah, have that faith, have that hope.
Well, Chris, you and Joan are so amazing. Your witness, the joy and the love that you always radiate out there is just something that is truly special. So I thank you, brother. Thanks for coming on with us today. We love you, Chris, and please tell Joan how much we love her. Just on behalf of everyone here at LifeSite and all of our viewers as well.
She's praying for you. She prays for. We always pray for everybody who prays for us. So thank you. God bless you.
Thanks, Chris.